Ever feel like, I don't know, kind of torn between like cutting edge tech and, getting your hands dirty?
Well, today we're diving headfirst into a career that's basically both at the same time.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. What is it?
Rolling stock engineering technicians. We're talking trains, but like the really high-tech side of
And we've
trains.
got RoleCatcher's insights to guide us. I'm ready when you are.
So first things first, what does a rolling stock engineering technician actually do? Because I'm picturing like wrenches and grease, but that can't be the whole story, right?
It's funny you say that because it's so much more than just fixing stuff. Imagine using sensor data from a train, like from the locomotive itself,
Okay.
to actually predict when parts are going to wear out. That's
Whoa.
the kind of problem solving we're talking about here.
So less grease monkey, more like data detective.
Exactly. RoleCatcher calls them technical problem solvers, which I think is spot on.
Yeah.
They're as comfortable with diagnostic software as they are with a toolbox.
Okay, see, now that's just cool. But what does that look like day to day?
Well, obviously, it depends on your seniority level, right?
Sure.
But broadly speaking, you're inspecting, maintaining, repairing all kinds of rail vehicles, locomotives, carriages, you name it.
So, like a doctor, but for trains.
There you go. A train doctor.
But every medical field has its, I don't know, its pros and cons. Did RoleCatcher get into that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. They highlighted the high demand, obviously good salaries too,
That's always nice.
but it can be demanding. Irregular hours sometimes, you might be dealing with hazardous materials, and it's physically demanding work. These are big machines,
Right, so you need some muscle and some brain power.
no doubt about it. And you've got to be able to think on your feet, troubleshoot under pressure. When a train's down,
Yeah.
everyone's got to work fast, but safely.
High stakes. And speaking of moving up, RoleCatcher mentioned that there's usually a pretty clear career path in this field.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You might start as a junior technician, kind of learning the ropes from more experienced colleagues.
Makes sense.
And as you get better, more experience under your belt,
Yeah.
you climb that ladder, taking on more responsibility, bigger projects, maybe even mentoring those junior techs yourself one day.
So it's like 5 years down the line, our listener, who loves trains and data, by the way.
What does their career look like at this point?
Okay, so 5 years in, assuming they've been working hard, they're probably moving from just, following directions
Right.
to actually giving that. RoleCatcher talks about that jump to junior technician as being really key.
So let's fix this more. Here's how we're going to make it better.
Exactly. They're more involved in the design side of things, running tests, figuring out those complex issues.
Maybe even suggesting changes to how the trains are actually put together.
Okay, so more responsibility, probably some headaches along the way,
Yeah.
but also way more rewarding, I bet.
Oh, for sure. RoleCatcher had these example profiles, and one that stuck with me was this technician who used 3D modeling
Wow.
to design a whole new braking system. Way more efficient.
Mhm.
That's the kind of creative thinking you can do when you've got some experience.
That's awesome. But say someone really thrives on that, on pushing the limits. How do they become the expert in a field this technical?
That's where certifications come in. RoleCatcher specifically mentioned the CRST,
The what?
Certified Rolling Stock Technician. It's a big deal in the industry.
So like leveling up your skills, showing employers you're serious?
Exactly. It proves you've got the knowledge, the skills, everything to really excel. And that can open doors to those intermediate technician roles.
Okay, so what are those doors opening up to? What changes at that level?
Well, at that point, you're not just working on projects, you're leading them.
Mhm.
You're overseeing design choices, doing the really complex troubleshooting.
And really importantly, you're mentoring those junior technicians, sharing all that hard-won knowledge.
So leadership becomes part of the job description too. Not just knowing the tech, but knowing how to lead a team.
100%.
Yeah.
And it never stops, the learning. At this level, you're expected to be optimizing things, finding ways to make the manufacturing process better, faster, cheaper.
Really pushing the boundaries of what's possible with trains.
Man, that's going to be so satisfying seeing your ideas have that kind of impact. But what about those who want to, reach the top? What does that even look like in this field?
Okay, imagine this. You're the senior rolling stock engineering technician. You walk into a room, everyone from those junior techs to the engineers, they're looking to you for answers.
Wow.
You've seen it all, done it all, and now you're basically running the show.
So you're like the conductor of the whole operation, making sure everything's running smoothly.
Perfect analogy. It's less about the day-to-day tasks at that point, more about the big picture, the strategy, making sure those trains are the best they can be, and safe.
Okay, that's a heck of a career goal. But how does someone actually get there? Any secrets to success that RoleCatcher shared?
They did, actually. And it's not just the usual vague advice. They really emphasized continuous learning, even beyond like a formal degree.
Okay, so like what? Workshops, conferences, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Staying updated on the latest research, new technologies, it all matters.
It's like the train keeps moving, literally, so you got to keep moving too, or you'll get left behind.
That's a great way to put it. Remember those high-tech tools we talked about? They're always changing, getting more advanced. The best technicians, they change right along with them.
And speaking of keeping up with the times, there was one more thing RoleCatcher kept bringing up, and it's kind of, I don't know, a little bit futuristic.
Let me guess, they're talking about AI?
Right, artificial intelligence. Like, it's almost ironic. Here we are talking about these giant, powerful machines, and RoleCatcher is saying that the biggest challenge those machines might face is AI. What do you think about that?
It's definitely the big question, right? And it's not just, some far-off thing anymore. We're already seeing it in the rail industry. Automated maintenance, algorithms that figure out the best routes and schedules.
So less robots taking our jobs, more like robots are our new coworkers.
That's the idea. And that means the skills you need to succeed in this field, they're changing too. Remember how we talked about continuous learning? That's even more important now.
Because the tech's always one step ahead.
Exactly.
Uh.
The technicians who really thrive, they'll be the ones who see AI as a tool, not a threat.
So instead of knowing how to fix something, you need to know how to program the AI that tells you what to fix.
That's a great way to put it. Or how to look at the data that AI spits out and really understand what it means. It's about speaking the language of technology.
Makes sense. But let's be real, change can be scary, especially in a field like this. Any advice for someone who's, a little intimidated by the AI thing?
I'd say, don't be afraid to dive in. Remember those human skills we talked about? Problem solving, critical thinking, creativity? Those are what make you valuable, no matter how fancy the tech gets.
And maybe that's where those networking opportunities come in, right? RoleCatcher mentioned those too.
For sure. Connecting with other people in the field, sharing knowledge, figuring things out together. That human connection, that's not going away.
Absolutely not. Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of the line for today's deep dive. We've gone from the nuts and bolts of being a rolling stock engineering technician all the way to, well, the artificial intelligence that might be helping them out in the future. And it seems like the key takeaway is this is a field that's always evolving, so you have to be ready to evolve along with it. That's all the time we have for today, but thanks for joining us on the deep dive.